when we get face to face with Jesus, here's the thing, we just don't stay the same. That there's a decisive moment when we come face to face with Jesus, that there's just no way for us to leave that moment and say, hey, I'm just gonna stay the same. I'm just gonna kind of be the same in this. And when we begin to look at this and we begin to understand, the question is that this whole series revolves around is what are you going to do with Jesus?
Although some may say they do not believe in the value of the word love or understand the significance of Jesus Christ, coming face to face with him, these very two things changed the life of Pierce Roberts in a way that put everything in his life he'd ever known upside down and changed his heart in the name of Christ and set him on the path to where he is today.
My story is thanks to his story, the gospel. I grew up hating the word love. I thought people that just said love just attached whatever feeling, whatever emotion, whatever they wanted to that word, and it had no value. And the reason is they've kind of had a crazy life. My dad was pretty abusive. Around age 10, my parents were splitting up because my mom cheated on my dad, and he started abusing our entire family. I remember sitting there, and he walks in the house, and this was the worst thing he ever did to me. I remember he walks in, and he says, "Who do you think you are?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he grabs me, and I can't remember if he slams me on the floor or if he slams me against the wall, but I remember he was just sitting there for 3 minutes, and he begged me for the longest time just to let me kill him. And the scary thing was that he was really specific, and he was telling me that he was going to bury me out the front tree, that no one loved me, and that he hated me, and that I was the worst mistake of his life.
After enduring so much pain for so long, Pierce finally got the opportunity to move in with his aunt and uncle, and they loved him and they raised him. But still, there was a void.
But I remember going into this lifestyle of drinking and partying and drugs and women, and nothing was fulfilling me. Nothing had purpose. Nothing was anything that I ever dreamed it would be. I had no relationship with my parents or anything. And I remember sitting in the car one day, and my aunt turns around and she says, "Your sister's in the hospital." And I said, "Why is she in the hospital?" And she said, "She swallowed 60 pills. We don't know if she's gonna make it." And I just remember sitting there thinking, what? And I didn't live with my sister. She was still with my father, which was the biggest mistake of my life, and I still apologize to her this day. But she made it out, and she went to rehab, and she said, "Pierce, I still love you." And I remember thinking, what kind of love is that? And I was just broken up. I thought, this is kind of like the end of my life. I have nothing to live for. And I decided to go to church. I was like, I keep hearing about this Jesus guy. I don't understand why God would need a son, but I'm going. And then I went to church, and the pastor started talking about fathers and how they mess up their kids. And I just remember bawling my eyes out in church. And after church, he gave me a Bible and said, "Read it." And so I moved to college for my girlfriend. I suggest not doing that for anyone. Never works out. And I remember reading the Bible, and I'd read the whole thing. I got to about 1 John and thought to myself, yeah, this seems pretty fake. I don't really understand this. It doesn't make sense. But I got to 1 John 4:8. It says, "Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." And that ties in the whole love aspect of my entire life, how people can just disclaim whatever they want for love. And I thought, this is universal. This is something different. And I don't love people, so how could God ever reveal himself to me? And so I remember getting on my knees that night, and I said, "God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me and change my life forever." And soon after that, he broke my girlfriend with me. I stopped drugs, I stopped all these kind of things, and there was no reason for it. It was all just the act of something more powerful than I could ever stand. And the gospel just came into my heart. And I remember just going over Jesus' story all the time and thinking, I want to live like that. I want to know him. And through prayer and through so many crazy things in my life, it's just been an amazing ride of knowing Jesus and walking with Jesus and how he's changed everything.
It's because of your decision to follow Jesus. It's my joy to bury the old you and let Jesus raise you to walk in a brand new way of life. We just resonate, do this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.